with that. So now that we're live, I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order for today, the 15th of June, 2021. Please rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed with the agenda, I'm going to make a motion that we add one item that didn't get on. This is a regular meeting, so I'm going to put it on as item number 10, which is consideration of date of special town meeting to consider the purchase of the Draper property on Shelley Road.
Second.
Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, so I'm going to move on with the agenda. Public comments. I don't think we have anybody. I see Mo, I think, is connecting. And we have somebody whose phone number ends in 3302. So do we have any public comments tonight from any of those? Joining us?
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, Mo. Is that you?
That's me. That's me.
Okay. Did you want to speak at public comments, or are you on for the consideration of the beer fest?
He's Beer
No
Fest.
public comment. Just beer fest. Yeah, just beer
Okay.
fest. No public comment.
All right, great. Person who has phone ending in 3302, did you have any public comments?
No, it's me, Matt. It's
Oh,
Marty.
it's Marty. Okay,
Yeah, I'm having some problems with the computer. I'm trying to get on the video. Hopefully I'll be on in a minute or so.
all right, okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, hearing no public comments, we'll move on to correspondence, and I don't think there's anything late, right, Deanne? Okay, so we'll move on to first selectmen's report. Let me give you a rundown of all the stuff that has happened. First of all, as I mentioned to the chamber this morning on the weekly networking call, Bethel's positivity rate, COVID positivity rate, has dropped again. Is staying low for the second week in a row. It is at 0.1%, which is extremely low, and and still holding. So even some of the folks who were a little bit less optimistic, shall we say, who thought there was going to be a spike when the governor started relaxing the restrictions around May 19th, have instead, we've seen the positivity drop way low and stay there. So things are in very good shape. That is leading us to go to a fully open posture here at Town Hall. As I mentioned in the past, we have discontinued the requirement for appointments for all visits to Town Hall. Some departments, again, I'm just going to repeat this for those who may not have heard if they watch the video. Some departments are scheduling appointments for certain functions, and that is not related to COVID. That is related to the very high work volume. But we are planning to reopen all doors as normal with some security enhancements on no later than July 1st. So we will be not checking people in after that time, and we will be working with staff to put in some security procedures in. Again, that's not related to COVID. That's just related to the world we live in these days and taking the opportunity to enhance security. The other big news is that the legislative session is over. The good news about this is that the state legislature had 154 days to craft the state budget. They completed it in 153 days. So this is a far cry from the years when we had to wait until October to get an actual budget out of the state. And the best news about it is there was actually some minor enhancements to municipal aid, but the big news is that everything was held harmless. So some projected decreases in ECS funding for schools did not come to pass. There were amendments at the last minute that kept everybody level. So we're in good shape there. Also, we now have a number attached to the ARPA funds, and that is the American Rescue Plan Act. Over a 2-year period, we will receive a total of $5.8 million. Those funds will be coming into us in 2 blocks. The first one starting sometime this summer. There's still an awful lot of ambiguity as to what those can be used for and what they can't be used for. And we, along with all the other municipalities in the nation, really are working through this with our town attorneys and with the help of organizations such as CCM, COST, and the National League of Cities. Their attorneys are working with the Treasury Department to interpret the package and give us the best guidance possible. We do know that it can be used for a variety of things. And later in the agenda, I'm going to talk a little bit about an advisory committee that I'm putting together to help guide our thinking on that. A couple of things, the zoning bills that had concerned people a great deal, largely passed, but with some of the more onerous requirements stripped out of them. There will be some impact on Bethel zoning laws. And I've been advised that we expect that that our planning and zoning department, or our planning and zoning commission, will likely pass a resolution to opt out of some of those new provisions. They mostly deal with as-right provisions for accessory dwelling units. And as an as-right, that means that there would be no hearing. That anybody who qualifies, physically to have an accessory dwelling unit on their property would be able to do that without a hearing. Again, towns are being offered the opportunity to opt out of that with a 2/3 vote of their legislative body or the Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Selectmen. So we'll, sometime over the next few months, we'll see how that plays out. Big news in recycling, the bottle bill passed. This is the first modernization of the Connecticut deposit law in over 40 years. This will raise the deposit on bottles and cans from 5 cents to 10 cents. It will triple the handling fee, the portion of that deposit that goes to redemption centers, to make it more lucrative for stores and redemption centers to take these back. And of course, the goal of this is to get this stuff off the streets and to reduce the cost of recycling, which has been skyrocketing for the last 2 years since China stopped accepting materials from the US. A lot of these costs are hidden because Bethel is a subscription town where, most of our residents, if they don't manually take stuff to our own transfer station on their own, we don't have a municipal pickup. They hire a private carting company. But those carting companies have seen their costs of recycling more than triple, and in some cases quadruple, over the last 2 years. And some of those costs are being reflected into big increases for commercial enterprises that have a lot of stuff that has to be picked up. So it's being called by our Department of Energy and Environmental Protection the biggest silent crisis we have in the state right now. Because it's kind of flying below the radar. Most consumers, most homeowners aren't really aware of it. Over the next year, if things don't change, they'll probably become aware of it because they're going to see their fees go up from the companies that charge them to pick up their household trash and their recycling. The bottle bill also adds wine and liquor bottles to the deposit system, but they have 2 years to phase this in. So you really won't see any change until 2023 from this point on. And last but not least, we had an extremely successful household hazardous waste event at Bethel High School this Saturday. We had planned for 400 cars. We actually had 525 come through. This is important because of our association with HRRA. Of course, Rich and Paul are very familiar with this organization. This is a 30-year-old organization that handles regional waste and recycling contracts and programs for its member towns. Because of our association with that organization, these paid waste events have saved our taxpayers collectively in our region over $6 million in that amount of time. And it has kept a lot of nasty materials that are illegal to throw away from being thrown away. So this is a very successful program. In the last couple of years, HRRA has gone from 1 or 2 household hazardous waste events in our region up to 6. This is the second one that Bethel has hosted. And as a host town, we had a lot more participation in our town, but this is a good thing for our environment and for recycling. And then the last thing I want to note is just as a reminder to my colleagues, Bethel High School's graduation is this coming, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday, the 22nd, whatever day that is. I don't have a calendar in front of me. It will be like the good old days. It will be at the Ralph DeSantis football field. So don't go out to the O'Neill Center because for the first time in more than 14 years, it won't be there. It'll be where we used to hold it traditionally at the football field. And the only drawback is that's a more limited seating. And so I know of a lot of folks who have relatives coming in from out of town who are looking for tickets that won't be used because there's a limit on how many people can get in there. So that's the first selectmen's report for today. And I'll pause and see if my colleagues have anything to add or have any questions. Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt, today we had the water tests at the police station.
Yeah.
It was pretty successful. Where they did spray the water for 15 minutes, it didn't penetrate the wall where the new coating was put on. Then we went to an untreated area, and within 5 minutes, the water was going through the wall. So it seems to solve the problem. There was an issue at the bottom of the wall, and the representatives from Downs are researching that area. It's where the flashing meets the floor.
Mhm.
So they need to look into that before they proceed with any other coating process out there.
Mhm. Well, that's good. So the coating that they're using works.
Yeah, it really seals up any little cracks, that we saw out there. So they need to solve this other little problem first before they continue on, though.
Yeah. Okay, good. Paul, any comments or questions?
Just an additional comment will be the fact that after they do the coating, we're still going to repeat the test regardless.
Correct. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, at least we're moving in the right direction. So that's a positive development. Thank you. All right, moving on to consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 1st, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve. All right, motion by Paul, second by Rich. Are there any comments or corrections to those minutes?
No.
Hearing none. Those in
No.
favor signify by saying aye.
Yeah,
Oh, all right,
Yes.
hold up.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Dave.
there's nothing indicating that what time the board came out of executive session.
Oh. You're muted, Dion.
I can go back and amend that.
And then,
Well, it'll be timestamped on the video. You could probably. All right, Marty, now you're muted. This is the story of our age. You're muted.
I can go back and look
Well,
at my
Rich has got his
notes.
hand up.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rich, go ahead.
all right, there's also a question. In the minutes reflects me being appointed to the fire commission as a ad hoc member. I believe I'm a full member.
That's
with
correct.
voting rights on that.
That's correct. You are, yes, that's in the ordinance. You are a full member. So,
So that has to be amended also.
Okay,
okay, so that amendment would remove the word ad hoc and just put member, correct?
okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Rich. Any other corrections?
No.
All right, hearing none, so we will, I'll try your minds. Those in favor of approval as amended, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, that carries. Consideration of Beer Fest. We have an application. And let me pause and say, this is one of my favorite chamber events. We do have an application from the Bethel Chamber of Commerce to this year resurrect Beer Fest. The date is set for August 7th, 2021. And the hours are, I think you amended the hours. I'm gonna ask Jesse Raymond to just give it those hours.
Matt, yeah, it's from 2 to 6. We originally had it from 12 to 3, so we recently changed it from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
All right, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. All right. All right, before we have questions or comments, I'll put a motion on the floor that we approve the request for Beer Fest, subject to requirements for insurance coverage as noted in the Bethel Parks and Recreation Program, as well as approval from the Police Commission pertaining to crowd control and liquor control. So is there a second? All right, second by Paul. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve. So motion on the floor is open for discussion. Are there any questions? Jesse and Mo, let me start with you and just ask you first if you have any comments, anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
No,
Hold on, Mo. This is Jesse Raymond, and just a couple. I'll give you guys a rundown of kind of some. We're hoping to plan to sell around 300 tickets. As Mo said, it was originally scheduled for 12 to 3. Now we're doing 2 to 6. We will have snacks on a VIP table, bagged snacks, water available for purchase, but no food trucks, since we're encouraging people to eat locally before and after. It's Saturday, August 7th, 21 and up only, no kids / pets admitted. We're still waiting on the park and rec approval, but lawn will be roped off and only one entrance exit that we will have staffed. And the other thing is, I think those are, nope, I think that's kind of it. And then Mo did speak to the police chief 2 nights ago.
Okay, and you would have police presence there as you have in the past, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, we're gonna,
Go ahead, Mo.
yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, this is Mohammed. We're gonna have, as recommendation from the police chief, 2 police officers. I did ask him if he wants another one. We're more willing to accommodate as many as he needs to be there.
Okay,
And what's the admission fee?
Mo, is it? I think it's going to be either $20 or $30. I do apologize. I don't have that in front of me. Mo, do you know?
I think it's about $20, $20 to $30. That's correct.
Thank you.
yeah, Rich?
When you say rope off, do you mean a rope or a fenced area?
Fence. Yeah,
Fence.
fence like that. Yeah, in the past. Yep, it's going to be fenced off. Yeah, a rope definitely wouldn't work because I think in the past we have had issues from what I heard of, people jumping over. So we are going to have a fence. It's going to be fenced in the area.
Okay. All right. That was my question.
Okay, Paul, any other questions?
No,
Okay.
No.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to provide provisional approval of Beer Fest. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you very much. And I look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you all.
Likewise. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. If you need anything, please reach out to Mo or myself or any other additional questions. We'd be happy to answer anything. Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to number 7, consideration of cable commission candidate. I was actually not aware of this, but it turns out that Comcast there's still a requirement in state statute that cable TV providers not only provide cable access, community access to their cable system, but they must also have an advisory board with opportunities for citizens to participate in that advisory board and help guide the cable company with its programming and its access. So it turns out that Bethel has a seat which has been vacant for some time. And we did have a volunteer who actually was a person who brought this to my attention and wants to volunteer. She is a resident of Bethel, obviously. Her name is Kristen Andrioli. She lives on Plum Trees Road. And she would like to be appointed to this term. I think the term is 3 years. And the remaining vacancy to the Comcast Cable Commission. So I'll put a motion on the floor that we appoint Ms. Kristen Andrioli, Andreoli, to fill the Bethel seat on the Comcast Cable Commission. And that's a second by Rich. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. And congratulations. We'll send Kristen a letter tomorrow. Moving on to number 8, consideration of disbandment of the fire truck ad hoc advisory committee. Before I put that motion on the floor, I just want to say once again that we are extremely grateful for the professionalism and the good work of that committee to help us through the crisis that we had last year with our tower truck. And really, which it's a situation that led us to, is the catalyst behind our new fire commission. And I want to thank all the members for the amount of time they put onto that and their very, very professional work. And then also, if I haven't already done it publicly, congratulate the ad hoc truck commission's chairman, Rich Thode, on his new position with the Danbury Fire Department. Rich will take over as chief of the Danbury Department on June 28th, and we wish him the very best of luck in his new role. Unfortunately, we'll lose him as a Bethel resident because under Danbury law, he has to become a resident of the city of Danbury, so he will be moving, but want to wish him the best and thank him for all his contributions to our system here in Bethel. He's also spent some time as a volunteer with Stony Hill and is an extremely, extremely professional firefighter. So I'll put a motion on the floor that we disband the ad hoc committee and send a letter of thanks to all of its members.
Second.
Second by Paul. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Item number 9. This is not really a consideration. I'm making this basically a reporting thing. I was considering making a formal appointment, but what I plan to do, you have a couple of, you have a letter in the Zoom documents that basically it's a letter from one of the attorneys to Sam Gold. Sam Gold is a gentleman who is the chairperson of, or he's the executive director of one of the councils of governments in the state. And I got that copy because this is being repeated by the state to all of the towns and cities in the state. What it says is on use of the ARPA funds, the guidance from the state is to follow whatever your town's charter says with regard to use of funds. So in other words, the town of Bethel is going to be receiving these very generous funds from the federal government. And in spending them, we will have to go through the same procedure as our charter requires. So the same bid procedure, the same approval procedure. It would have to go it would have to be approved by first the Board of Selectmen, then go to the Board of Finance, possibly special town meetings involved to release these funds and to use them moving forward. And in order to help facilitate this, I'm appointing an internal panel of advisors. And I'm picking these people based on the functions that they have to make sure that this money reaches the people who are the most impacted by we're most impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. So the individuals that I'm putting on this advisory panel are Janice Christianic on behalf of Economic Development. She'll represent the Economic Development Commission. Lisa Plum, who will represent the Senior Center as well as the social service functions and working with Megan Allworth-Kazadian. Eileen Earl, representing Park and Rec. A lot of the money focused, or substantial portion of the money is focused on providing opportunities for childcare so that parents can get back to work. Brad Hearing from the Finance Department, who will serve as the panel facilitator and chairperson. Nick Cataldo, our IT representative, who will work with Dion and Chris Baldwin on IT and website opportunities to reduce contact between people. And then last is Eric Swenson, our DPW director, who will take on the role of covering the needs of utilities department and the public works department. So we don't really need a vote on this. This is a panel that I will be relying on to advise us as the Board of Selectmen moving forward. Board of Selectmen will retain the final vote, of course, but these folks are going to look at the opportunities to put this money where it can be best used to reduce the impact of the coronavirus. one of the ideas that I've heard already coming from EDC was to create something like a block grant program, very similar to what we do with elderly home repairs, where money can be loaned to support restaurants, and when that loan is repaid, that money goes back in to support other restaurants. That's one of the parts of the ARPA statutes that is encouraged to help restaurants get back on their feet. So that is something that we'll be working through over the next couple of weeks. Want to pause and see if my colleagues have any questions about that.
No, my only question was that, and you explained it, that they still report to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen is in the start of the queue, and then the Board of Finance. And so, yes,
That's
I'm
correct.
okay with that.
Yep, the charter rules on that one. So that is, that we'll follow that same procedure. Okay, I'm going to move on to our last item. And this has to do with, at our last meeting, we had an executive session. We came out of executive session. We formally voted to move forward with the purchase of the property on Shelley Road. And that will require a special town meeting. So I would like to put a motion on the floor that we establish special town meeting for June 29th, 29 at 7 p.m. in the general purpose room here at the Clifford J. Hergen Municipal Center.
That is a Tuesday?
Correct.
Matt, I'm sorry, we're gonna do this in the general purpose room,
Yes.
what you said?
Yeah, I expect that this will be a very, very well attended meeting.
Okay. Okay,
So, yeah, so we'll spread out, we'll have enough room for social distancing, but I expect that the land support, like the land trust folks and the environmental groups
Yep.
will come out to participate in that one.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll second that, Matt.
okay. All right, any further questions about that? Comments? And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor, June 29th, 7 p.m. Please signify by saying aye. Aye, that carries. And that concludes our agenda tonight.
Motion adjourned.
All right. I'll second that. And those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. We are adjourned. And thank you very much, everyone.